Women empowerment. While women in the developed world are empowered, those in developing nations are still struggling. However, there are four methods by which women can gain empowerment. These methods provide specific abilities that women and society can benefit from. The first is through the ownership of land. This is because land rights offer an important way towards economic empowerment. Moreover, having land rights gives women bargaining power they wouldn't normally have. This can enable women to make decisions about their lives. Allocating responsibilities that were traditionally given to the males is another path to empowerment and a way for women to be viewed as equal in society. By doing so, they often benefit by receiving respect from others. Involving women in this way can bring many positive effects. For instance, a study on the effects of women involvement in a forest conservation group observed that the involvement of women increased the efficiency of the group. As a result, they were viewed with more respect by men. Participation is another key way. Women who participate are empowered as they are provided the freedom of choice, and this brings about greater equality between women and men. Participation can be achieved in many ways in the household, school, workplace, and political with the right to vote or run for an office. Finally, there is microcredit, which is a way for governments and financial institutions to lend money to women. In turn, women can make investments with these loans into businesses. These allow them to function fully in business and society, and this benefits society by allowing women to make a greater contribution. Empowering women is not a difficult thing to do, but it does involve changing a deeply rooted mindset that is steeped in tradition. However, doing so, a developing country can reap huge benefits, and there's no reason why it shouldn't. The rock cycle process. The rock cycle is the process by which rocks of one kind change into rocks of another kind. There are three main kinds of rocks: igneous rock, metamorphic rock, and sedimentary rock. Each of these rocks can change into the other kinds by physical processes: cooling, melting, weathering or erosion, compacting, squeezing tightly together, cementing, and heating and applying pressure. When heated deep underground, rocks become magma, liquid rock. Above ground, it is called lava. Sediment, the particles from rock erosion and weathering, is the basis for sedimentary rock of the future. Igneous rock is hardened magma which can happen above or below ground. It can melt into magma, erode into sediment, or be pressed tightly together to become metamorphic. Metamorphic rock is igneous or sedimentary rock that has been heated and squeezed. It can erode into sediment or melt into magma. It forms under extreme pressure and temperature deep inside mountain chains. Sedimentary rock is compacted sediment which can come from any of the other rocks plus remains of living things. It can erode back into sediment or be pressurized into metamorphic rock. These processes can occur in different orders and the cycle goes on forever. Earth has several processes for changing rocks. Wind and water can create sediment from rocks, and movement of one tectonic plate against another creates enormous heat and pressure, which affects rocks greatly. Subduction converts all kinds into magma, which eventually rejoins the cycle as igneous rock. Learning to speak one's language comes naturally to human beings. We learn it without formal instructions. But writing is an unnatural activity. It must be taught formally and studied deliberately. Indeed, many of the problems that arise in learning to write are simply problems of finding the proper written equivalent for the various features of speech. The spelling of our words is a clumsy attempt to reproduce the sound of our voices. The punctuation of our sentences and the setting of paragraphs are designed to give some approximation of the pause and intonation we use automatically to give shape and point of our speaking. The writer of English or any other language loses a whole world of gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice the minute he decides to write something rather than say it aloud. He loses the immediacy of direct contact with his audience. If there were no compensation at all for all these disadvantages, then communicating with other people through the medium of squiggles on paper would be as unsatisfactory as trying to wash your feet with your socks on. Writing tasks more effort than speech. But the effort we make simple to transfer our words to paper can also lead us to compose things that are worth the effort. The unusual energy that goes into achievement in any art or sport can and should function finally to help the individual increase his own powers and perfect his abilities. 350 years ago, a clever man pointed out that practice in speaking makes a man ready or quick in his response, while practice in writing makes a man exact and helps him to polish and perfect his thoughts.